Sometimes Hinduism is thought of as polytheistic because of the many deities or gods that one associates with Hinduism, but in fact, it really is pantheistic, as I explained in my introduction to Hinduism. Pantheistic, meaning all divine, all of nature is divine. Everything in it is part of this divine, holy, or sacred aspect of the universe. You are it, and I am it. And these three gods are three manifestations of the three different energies of Brahman. Brahman, this divine energy of the universe, manifested, in other words, in these three different forms. On the left, we have Brahma, not Brahman with an N at the end, but Brahma, the manifested form of creative energy. He is the creator, and we'll get into him in detail in a moment. In the middle, we have Vishnu, which is that organizational energy. And on the right, we have Shiva, which is the energy of destruction. And again, we'll get into these three in an individual way in a moment. This is Brahma. He's the creator. And because he is the creator of the entire universe, he's self-born. He has created everything. He's thought of as the grandfather, and because his work is done, he's eclipsed by Vishnu and Shiva, who are more often venerated today. His four faces symbolize the four Vedas, or the original sacred scriptures, and his four hands symbolize the four cardinal directions. He's sometimes shown with sacred beads around his neck, which symbolize the process of creation itself. And he travels with a swan, which indicates that he travels in grace. And this is Vishnu. He is the protector. He's very unique among the members of the Trimurti because he has avatars that show up in his place. As the protector, he can't do everything, and so he sends Rama, one of the most well-known and venerated of the Hindu pantheon of deities, and also Krishna, who we'll look at in detail in a few minutes. Buddha, too, is considered in some circles as an avatar of Vishnu, the protector god. And finally, this is Shiva, the final member of the Trinity or the Trimurti. He is the god of destruction, but not in the way you might think. Remember, without destruction, there would be no creation. And so he's the one who keeps the whole cycle going. Birth and death, birth and death. He's associated with the sacred city of Varanasi, the yogi city, because he is the great meditating yogi. He is also often shown with the sacred Himalayan mountains beside him because he goes and meditates in the mountains like all the yogis of old have always done. And so he reconciles these contradictory notions or elements of birth and death. There are so many female consorts that are associated with him, most notably Parvati, who we'll look at, but also Kali, who's a little bit wild, and Durga, the powerful Shakti energy. How wonderful to see these female goddesses represented in Hinduism. One of the most notable things that you'll notice with Shiva is that he almost always holds his trident, that tool with the 3 points, and you see the yogis walking around with the trident as well in emulation of him. So more on that shortly. One of the things you'll recognize about Shiva is that he was a great meditating yogi. He's sitting with the Himalayan mountains beside him. Like all yogis of old have done in emulation of Shiva, they cover themselves in ashes from the sacred fire, the dhuni, because the ash holds the heat in. When you're wandering around naked, you need all the help you can get. And so that's one of the things you can recognize about him is the white color of his skin. You see his golden begging bowl beside him. You see the symbol of Om on the palm of his hand. He's holding his hand up in a blessing. That's called a mudra. It's the mudra of blessing. He's giving blessings to all who come within his path. His trident is beside him, the 3 points symbolizing many things. Sometimes it symbolizes past, present, and future. Sometimes it symbolizes body, mind, and soul. Sometimes it symbolizes that he is the destroyer of the three worlds, destroying all of this until we meld into non-duality. You recognize his tiger mat. This is just symbolic of the fact that he has conquered his own animal nature. You see the symbol of Om beside him. That's the symbol of Brahman itself, the sacred sound. His hair is wrapped up into a bun on the top of his head. Many yogis do this today because they never cut their hair, and so they hold it up into a bun. That's thought to channelize the sacred Kundalini energy. The snake too symbolizes the Kundalini energy, for it has risen along the channels of his spine, and so that indicates that he is awakened. And now we have Sarasvati. She is our first goddess. Isn't it wonderful to see that female divine energy represented here? She's the consort or the female aspect of the creator god Brahma. And so as the creator, she's often shown with her lute, a stringed instrument, symbolizing all of the arts and symbolizing all things creative. Her four arms represent the four cardinal directions. And this is Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. As the female aspect of Vishnu, this makes sense because he's the protector, the preserver. He's concerned with all things material. And so she's come to be known with the kind of maternal aspect of that material world, the one we turn to when we need help with things material, with material comforts. She's often prefixed with the Shri heading, and the Shri is associated with the material world, whereas Om is the mystical. She's recognizable by the elephants that are often shown to her side. That symbolizes her strength. It also symbolizes her association with the material world, including things like work. Her arms are raised as a blessing. And now we have Parvati, the third goddess as part of the Trinity, Shiva's wife, goddess of destruction. But she is gentle. She's the gentle female energy, and she's associated with family. She wanted to have a family, but Shiva, as the great meditating yogi, was too busy for children, so she births Ganesha on her own. She symbolizes divine female strength and is often recognizable by her red sari. And next up is the most powerful and fierce of the female goddesses. This is Kali. She's known as the Black One, and she grants moksha, liberation, famously known for taking down the demon Raktabij. And we have another goddess associated with Shiva. You know that she's associated with Shiva because she has her trident. This is Parvati. She is always shown on either a tiger or a lion, denoting her strong female energy. She is created as a collective embodiment of that Shakti energy. She's got either 8 arms or 10 arms. Because she's that powerful, she needs to be in order to do battle with what other gods cannot do. And so she takes on the impossible. She's a fierce but gentle female embodiment of that Shakti energy. And with blue-tinged skin, we have Krishna, recognizable by both the peacock that is often shown above his head and his flute. He woos his female consort Radha by playing the flute. He's also often shown in the forests with cows. He loves to frolic around with all of the creatures in the forest, and he's known for having good humor. He's got a mischievous sense of humor. Why does he have blue skin? There are many theories about why, but I love the story of how he is as vast as the sky. One story says he drank poisoned milk, but I like to think of it also as symbolizing his cosmic and deified state of being. And here we again see Krishna with his beloved Radha. The two of them symbolize union with the divine love. He was her great love, and he woos her with his flute, and he has inspired many along the bhakti path, that is to say, the path of devotion. Together, Radha and Krishna are known as the male and female aspects of God. They're thought of as the beautiful divine couple, and together they make one, the full manifestation of the divine. And just as an aside, in India, whenever you seem sad or have a long face, someone in your life, especially a family member, might say, be more Krishna, because he always was good-natured and he always had a wonderful, lively sense of humor, and he was always playing pranks. You know, for example, when the milkmaids would bathe in the river, he would take their clothes and hide them just to play jokes on them. That's how he was. And so he reminds all of us that the love of God, the holy quest, being on a divine path, doesn't have to be fraught with seriousness. It should be light and fun. And here we have an Indian depiction of Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree, sometimes thought of as the 9th incarnation of Vishnu. I guess there would be division over this because his views on the soul were so different that it branched off eventually into a totally new religion, despite the fact that that was not Buddha's intention. Still, sometimes he's thought of as simply an unorthodox form of Hinduism. He was born in Nepal, so before Hinduism was Hinduism, it was still the Hindu world after all. Ganesha, well-known and well-loved god, half elephant, half boy, son of Parvati and Shiva, he is known as the remover of obstacles, shown almost always with his little rat, which you might be able to see on the bottom there by his foot. The rat gets through all obstacles, and so Ganesha is thought of as the remover of obstacles. One of the things to notice about Ganesha also are the horizontal stripes that are sometimes seen on his head. Sometimes you see that on the yogis' foreheads as well, and that denotes their association or reverence of Lord Shiva. This is Shiva's son, even though Parvati created him by herself when he was away meditating. And I would be remiss if I didn't share at least one story that explains how he got his elephant head. Well, he was created by Parvati. She used the earth, which she molded into the shape of a boy, and then she asked him to stand guard for her as she bathed. Shiva came back from his meditations, and he had no idea who the boy was, and so he was outraged, and he lopped off the boy's head. When he saw that Parvati, his wife, was broken-hearted, she demanded that he breathe life back into the boy. But Shiva first had to go and find some head to replace the head that he had lopped off. So he found an elephant head, plopped it back on, and breathed life into the boy. And hence you have this god that is both elephant and man. He is the remover of obstacles. Hanuman is another example of a god that has both animal and human characteristics. He's worshipped for his unyielding devotion to God Rama, or Lord Rama, and in the Ramayana he rescues his wife Sita from the kidnappers. He is selfless and he's dedicated, and so he symbolizes that bhakti attribute. He also symbolizes karma yoga because he demonstrates that through hard work or service we can achieve liberation. He thinks of himself as a humble messenger or servant of God Rama. And here we have the well-known and very recognizable sacred symbol of Om, sometimes spelled with an A-U-M, symbolizing the Trinity, or just O-M, chanted at the beginning of any sacred ceremony, representing the sacred sound and life force, representing Brahman as an abstract, as the vibration of the Supreme. And here we have the terribly misunderstood symbol that is now known as the swastika. It was originally known as the suwastu. Etymologically, the symbol represents good luck or well-being and is still used in Asian countries on statues or as a sacred symbol on a variety of things like fabrics. I've even seen it on wrapping paper. But unfortunately, it was adopted by the very delusional Hitler and is now associated by most Westerners as a symbol of the Third Reich because of Hitler's delusion, fancying himself as a descendant of the Aryan warrior people. But its history precedes that by millennia and was always thought of as a symbol of the Surya or the sun, a symbol of life itself and a symbol of good luck and all things benevolent. Earlier, we saw Lord Krishna, one of the most beloved and well-known of all Hindu deities, playing amongst the cows and playing his flute for them, dancing in the forest with the cows and with all of the animals. After all, he grew up as a cowherder himself. He goes by the name Govinda or Gopala, which literally means friend and protector of cows. In India as a whole, the cow is considered to be sacred. It's considered a sin or bad luck to kill a cow or eat its meat, and that's why most Hindus today are vegetarians. In fact, slaughtering a cow is in many parts of India still illegal, and that's why you can find cows roaming freely all over India. Part of that is because of the law of ahimsa, or nonviolence. The cow is thought of as being maternal. It's the giver of milk and dairy and the sustenance of all of life. In these last two pictures, you see a sadhu sitting nicely with a cow, admiring the beauty and the sweetness of the cow. A sadhu is someone who has taken his vows of renunciation, or in other words, is practicing renunciation, who has renounced the worldly aspects of material life. They are sometimes simply referred to as yogis, and they have given up worldly comforts in pursuit of moksha, or self-realization with the divine.